On the break, behind Santana, he shoots wide. Loose ball, poked in. Gio Elvis.
This is MASL Monday. What's going on, everybody? Alex Bastiavansky here in the MASL studio. Well, in other words, my homestead, but also the MASL studio. Thank you to everyone listening on Sirius XM FC channel 157 and watching on MASL TV on YouTube. We are bringing you the best from the Major Arena Soccer League, and today I'm joined by a very special guest. It is the host of Goals and Boards, which follows the Major Arena Soccer League, Geo Monterroso. Did I say it properly? I rolled my R there.
Hey, you got it close, so I can't. No complaints here. How's it going?
I'm good, man. Thank you so much for taking the time to join. We've got a lot to talk about because your Blast. It also should be mentioned, of course, you are a super fan of the Baltimore Blast, and it was a tough weekend for your boys who had a chance to really make some noise, and unfortunately, they did, but they weren't pleasant noises at the end of the day, I guess you could say, for the fans who were watching. But let's kick things off. We're going to get to Baltimore in a second, Gio. Let's kick things off with the marquee game of the weekend was out west, and that was San Diego heading to one of, if not the toughest environment in the Major Arena Soccer League, heading to Chihuahua to take on the Savage. And this was a game that had absolutely everything. San Diego pulling it out in the end 9-8. But Gio, just an incredible game, total playoff atmosphere, wasn't it?
Yeah, I mean, the game was really a roller coaster. A moment you thought, oh, San Diego's going to run away with this, then Chihuahua turns it up, and then you can never count out either of these teams. But San Diego is really just at another level, I think.
Yeah, and 5-3 Soccer's at the half, 4 San Diego goals in the third to go up 9-4, and then the Savage went on a run to pull it to 9-8. But San Diego back to their winning ways once again. And Craig Childs, first start of the game, 3 goals, 1 assist, and we've got to point out, Gio, also the return of the stash. He's rocking the mustache once again. But just a great game by Childs and the San Diego squad.
Yeah, I think it was a great game. I think that stash just needs to stay so he can keep playing the way he's playing because, man, this guy put some goals away that you just never see coming. It's these small turns, little touches here and there, and doesn't take an extra step or extra touch and just puts it away. It's phenomenal watching him play. As much as it pains me to say that, he's a phenomenal player.
Yeah, beautiful goal there by Puentes as well. Look at that. Absolutely gorgeous. For those of you who are listening on Sirius XM, we're also broadcasting on this is being broadcast on YouTube. So we're seeing some of the highlights from Chihuahua versus San Diego. Was this the best game of the season so far for you, Gio? Anyway, what do you think?
So this was a really good game. This is a really good game. I would say it's up there with 2 other games. The other 2 games that I personally liked was a Kansas City January 20th win. It was a St. Louis overtime win. It was a 5-4 game. That was a fantastic game. And the other one is the Monterey Empire, which happened, I think it was the 2nd of February. Those were some good games too. So those 3 for me are up there.
You've got an interesting stat. We're going to give you a shout out. By the way, for everyone who wants to follow your stuff on Instagram and Twitter, and just give us your handle so everyone can find Goals and Boards.
Yeah. So on Instagram, YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, it's at Goals and not N, just the letter N, Boards. No spaces, nothing. It's nice and simple.
And you've always got some of the best plays of the week up there. And one really cool stat that you did have up this past week, which I'll tell you in a second why I was surprised by it, but you brought it up. San Diego does have Chihuahua's number. In 9 games, San Diego is 8-1 so far over the last 2 seasons. I thought it was much closer than that, and I'll tell you why. It's because last year, San Diego lost 2 games all season long. Both were in overtime. One was to Chihuahua in the playoffs. They had several tight games. I thought the Chihuahua had taken at least 2 or 3 from the Sockers. So I was kind of shocked by that. But the Sockers truly do have their number so far, don't they?
Yeah, I think it's just because of how well the games go, right? They're so intense, they're always close, and it's just so much passion in those games. But at the end of the day, the wins go all to San Diego. And the Chihuahua broadcasters always talk about their history and they try to say, "Oh, let's forget the record, let's just enjoy the games." But yeah, Chihuahua, they're coming short when it comes against San Diego. I mean, they play them well, it's just they just don't finish the game.
Yeah, and San Diego, the other part of their Mexican trip on the weekend was in Monterey. They doubled up the Flash by a 6-3 score. First star of the game, Ismael Rojo, and Craig Childs, another 3 points in this game, 7 points in Mexico for on the weekend for El Capitan. And what's your thoughts on Monterey this season? Returning to the league, great to have them back. They've always got great fan support. They are truly like just one of the great MASL franchises going back to the early 2010s, winning titles, making it to the final. But this season so far, would it be fair to call them a bit of a disappointment? Maybe just when you look at the expectations that were there for them and what we're used to getting from a Monterey team.
You know what? This is not the Monterrey of old. They are not. They did not come back in form. The team that lost one game a whole season. It's just that's not Monterrey. And this used to be a nightmare for San Diego. And you could see that that's not the case anymore. San Diego looks comfortable against them. So no one really fears Monterrey. You can go in there and pull out points. They're not the worst team, but I think they're just an average team
They're not
this season.
scaring anyone this year, is what you're saying. Um, 8 away
Hmm.
wins on the year so far for the Sockers, leading the league in away victories. And we'll get to some of those stats in a moment here, talking about some of the teams, how they're doing home and away. Let's just taking a look at the standings here, though. In the West at the moment, in San Diego, running away with things at 14-2. Chihuahua second with 35 points. Empire in third. Here's a question for you. Are you seeing any separation at all between, say, is there a top three? I mean, if for you, is Mesquite in fourth place? Is Mesquite just as dangerous as any of the, let's say, two teams in front of them being Empire and Chihuahua?
So Mesquite honestly is a contender for me if two things can happen. One, they could stay healthy because they've been hit with that injury bug quite a few times this year. And the other thing is if they can get their guys under control sometimes because those red cards and just the
Yeah.
the passion, right? The passion behind those players does affect them. And some of those key players are super important to their game. So if they can stay clear of red cards and injuries, yeah, easily I can see them in the top four.
Yeah,
Or
I think it's a top four. I still think if I was a betting man, my money would be on San Diego. I mean, the two-time defending champs, and they're getting back into the groove after shockingly in a four-game stretch losing 2 of 4, which we haven't seen from San Diego in what 3 seasons now, basically after going on that incredible 30-game unbeaten run. But yeah, it's we're getting into crunch time here, and Empire, of course, had the weekend off, but they'll be back next week. And a lot of games against San Diego. I believe it's 4 games left against the Sockers, who are going to be raring to go in their next contest. I believe it's the 9th that they play each other of March, and San Diego is going to be out to avenge that 10-4 loss from a couple weeks ago, Gio.
yeah, for sure. I will say this. I think Empire can keep their run going as long as Tayu's performing. He's at like 40 points.
He's been
It's
insane. Yeah.
yeah, he's been on fire. And not saying that Empire's only riding him, but when he's at his best, everyone around him is at his best. So if he's performing, those games are going to be very interesting.
Absolutely. You're listening to MASL Monday, bringing you the best from from the Major Arena Soccer League on Sirius XMFC channel 157 and watching on MASL TV. And I'm joined here by Gio Monterroso of Goals and Boards. And Gio, we're going to move to first an East-West showdown before we get to your blast. And it was Florida hosting the Tacoma Stars. Tacoma just they had everything to play for in this contest. Just a game behind Monterey for that so important 5th spot, which gets you a play down with the 4th place team for the postseason. A game in hand, a point behind. Monterey goes down to San Diego. Tacoma could not get it done against a Florida Tropic squad that had a depleted roster, though.
Yeah, but Tacoma is such an interesting team. They're what I like to call the coin flip because you never know what you're going to get with Tacoma. Sometimes you get a phenomenal performance, and sometimes you get average performance. So to watch them come short against Florida, who's missing some key players, man, that was a heartbreaker.
Yeah, and Ricardo Dieguez stepping up, though, in the absence of Pereiras and Ricardo Carvalho, who missed the game. 6 points, 4 goals, 2 assists. He will be a front runner for offensive player for the week for sure. So it was a game that Tacoma, looking back, if they missed the postseason, this will be one of those games that they could be shaking their head over, isn't it?
Yeah, for sure. They had an opportunity. And I said this a few weeks ago that I wouldn't be surprised if Tacoma slips past Monterey, right? And this was one of those games. They could have easily have done that. And right now, Florida's going through some things, and they're not playing like the Florida we know them to play. So it was there for the taking. It just they didn't finish it out.
And now for Tacoma, 4 games on the road, continuing their road trip. 2 teams in Texas, of course, Monterey and the Sidekicks. And Dallas is aching to get that first win of the season. So that by no means will be a simple game. Then they've got to face Mesquite, and they've got to face Monterey and Chihuahua. So this is a run of the schedule where they're going to be desperate to get points, but it's going to be very, very difficult as well.
Yeah, I think the game, their last game against Dallas, it was the closest Dallas came to actually pulling off a win. So I know Dallas believes that they could do it, so it's going to be a tough game. And then you throw on that Mesquite and the rest of their away schedule. Oh man, these next 4 games are going to decide, I think, who's going to make it, who's going to clinch that 5th spot.
Of course, facing Dallas with the defending offensive player of the week in Blas Perez, former Panamanian international, who's been lighting the league on fire since the Sidekick signed him. So going to be a very interesting game indeed. Okay, man, we got to do it. Let's go east now. Let's head east. Let's talk about the Blast. This was a show me weekend for the Blast, coming off, a big win the week before. They go into Harrisburg facing the Heat, a team that's got 3 wins on the season, 3 wins up to that point, and they go down 4-3 in overtime. Gio, just take us through the game and your thoughts on what went down.
To be honest, this loss can be summarized in one thing, and that's why did Brad go to Harrisburg? So for those that don't know, Brad is my co-host on Goals and Boards, and anytime he heads up there, it's a curse for the team. But this was a must-win game. This was a game that Baltimore could have used to cushion their lead, get some guys in rotation that they needed to. And, when we saw the lineup, no Vanzella, we were like, okay, how's the team going to play? And you saw it. It wasn't the same team.
Yeah. And Vanzella, which should be mentioned, of course, resting his back. So missed both games on the weekend, including the game against Utica City. But, Harrisburg, listen, they're a scrappy team, man.
Mm-hmm.
They are a scrappy team. And your boys were away from CQ Arena, where, of course, you've got that massive home field advantage with the small dimensions. The boys know how to play it. But the road record has not been stellar this season for your Blast. And talk about that, the discrepancy between the home and the away, how they just haven't been able to get it done on the road.
Well, first, in Harrisburg, historically, the Blast is, for some reason, doesn't perform well. Harrisburg is that one team that I think the Blast is like, oh, we're going to go there because last season they did it. This season they're doing it. They're always getting the points against us for some reason.
So it's like, oh, we're going to go there and we're going to pick up points, no problem. Or we're going to go there and they know that it's going to be tough. You mean,
Yeah, they know
yeah,
it's going to be tough. It's always a scrap there. I think there was only one or two games last season where it was like a comfortable win, but every other time has been a scrap. And Harrisburg is just one of those teams that the Blast never travels well to. And as far as traveling this season, man, the record is night and day. Home is a team that we're scared, or we could be a scary team, but away, I think we're just not adjusting to the field dimensions. We're playing at the 50, where in CQ you could probably have a shot from that distance. In a big arena, 50 yards away, you're not doing that. And then you got to get back. It's such a bigger field that we're not spring chickens, as they call it, right? So just getting back and forth is you could see it.
Just a reminder to everyone that you can watch all the MASL games. You can watch them live or get the archive on Twitch, where you can also watch this show, MASL Monday, as well as on our MASL TV channel on YouTube. I continue to be joined by Geo Monterroso, the host of Goals and Boards. And Geo, let's talk about the game on Sunday against Utica City on the blue turf there in front of another great crowd in Utica. And it was a 5-2 loss for your Blast, so dropping both weekend games. And just take us through this game, first of all, and your thoughts on what went down.
This is another game, and we've seen this from the Blast quite a few times this season, where they leave too many men open. They're not getting back on the turnovers. Utica's a young team, and we'll talk about the how young in a moment. But they have the energy, they have the quick speed on the counterattack, and Blast just doesn't get back sometimes just because of that, or they're caught too high, and then without Vanzella in goal, you don't get that same assurance, right? So where Baltimore's used to it. And if we do sit, we're only sending 2 or 3 guys up, and we're not having those shots. It was quite a few times where Max took an extra touch where it should have been a shot, right? And that's the struggle that Baltimore's facing right now.
No Nate Bordeaux. If I told you Utica would get 2 goals from Gio Alves, a goal from Alex Gomez and Keaton Woods, and win the game, and that would be their output, how shocked are you? It should be pointed out as well, Alex Gomez, Utica got from the MASL Combine, so paying off the Combine for so many teams, but great pickup in Alex Gomez, but great to see them getting offensive contributions from those guys.
Yeah, so it's amazing to see 3 rookies put a goal on three of 5 goals on Baltimore, right? And if you had asked me that, I wouldn't have guessed it. And it's funny because Utica has been a team that has had nothing but offense, right? And then they're adding more rookies with more offense potential, which is great for Utica because that's the way they want to play right now.
Right. Utica, good weekend. They also take down Harrisburg. They got the job done where unfortunately your Blast could not. So they take it 6-5. Andrew Coughlin, 13 saves both Saturday and Sunday to pick up the 2 wins and some great goals in this contest. But it was a 6-5 final, and Utica has now won 4 in a row. So here's a question for you, Gio: are Utica the hottest team in the league at the moment in your eyes?
So Utica right now has the best winning streak. Right now they have won 4 in a row, right? They're undefeated so far. And the only team that comes close to that is the Empires, who are 3-1 in their last 4 games. So if we were to look at that alone, yeah, they're really hot right now.
Empire, we should point out as well, 11 of 13. They've won as well.
True.
So we've got the uninterrupted win streak going to Utica for sure. But man, Empire on a larger sample size, though, getting it done right now with 11 of 13. There's the beautiful Scorpion goal by Bo Yelovats. And producer Phil mentioned he was talking to Bo afterwards, and Bo, that of course was not planned. That's just reflexes. He just stuck his leg out back there, and that's going to go down as one of the goals of the year for sure. Beautiful goal by Bo. That was an absolute banger as well.
Yeah, by Harris. Yeah,
oh my goodness, that was a gorgeous goal. So 6-5 Utica taking down the Heat. And one more from the East for us to wrap it up. And that was Kansas City taking on Milwaukee. And undermanned Milwaukee in the sense that Ian Bennett was a late scratch. He didn't play. So his point streak still, which I believe is at 46 games now. I'll have to check my notes on that. But so the streak is still alive, but Ian Bennett six out the game. Kansas City doubles them up 8-4. And Milwaukee still first place in the East, but they have a tendency to do this. They'll go in and get – they've had a tough time in KC on the floor, for sure, especially when they haven't played with their full roster, Gio.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think this KC-Milwaukee rivalry is so interesting. One, is so much passion in it, but the other thing is sometimes one of these two teams shock us, and this is the second time that Kansas City has really run the game.
Really run it up, yeah.
Yeah, and for me, this game was due to two things. One, a few mistakes from Willie B, and two, Milwaukee not having that offensive output without Ian Bennett. You know, Huffman is having a good run. You know, Andrew has been great, but for some reason, they're just not finding the back of the net if he's not on the field.
Are they too dependent on, like we talked last week with Andrew Harvey about Tacoma trying to get away from it being just about Nick Pereira? Milwaukee would love to have a lot more supporting scoring. Are they still too dependent on Bennett, do you think?
Yeah, I think so. I think, they have a lot of great players, a lot of young energy, and some solid finishers, but they just always seem to want to go through Ian. And anytime he's on the field, I feel like he's the one running the show, and it's always going through him. So if they diversify that, I think Milwaukee could be the real deal.
Yeah, I mean, January 21st was the other game we're talking about where Kansas City, Milwaukee had won the day before, and then they go to Kansas City and get absolutely smoked 10-4. They did sit a significant portion of the roster, though, which we've seen the Wave do on multiple occasions this season where they're sort of resting guys. They're doing the NBA thing. The what's the expression they use to not overload their players? But anyway, sitting some of the stars at times. And anyway, it's 8-4 yesterday against KC in that one. Taking a look at the standings right now in the East, and Milwaukee still leading the way, but followed closely by the Tropics, and then your Blast in third place. Actually, pardon me, tied with KC. Actually, both with 26 points. Milwaukee 1 point lead over Florida, but they do the Wave do have a game in hand. Here are some interesting stats, though, from the East, Geo, for us to go over. All 7 teams are 500 or better at home, right? All 7 teams are below 500 on the road. And even Milwaukee, 3-4-1 on the road. And number 7, Harrisburg, 4-4-0 at home. It's just it's a bizarre stat that none of these teams can seem to get things going when they're away from home.
So the KC game, Eric Berger said something very, very important. The best away records are going to be the ones leading at the end of the day, right? So, I mean, it goes to show you, Florida and Milwaukee don't have the best away record, but they have a decent one, not compared to Baltimore and Utica, who've only won one on the road, right? Or sorry, KC and Baltimore. They've won one on the road. It's if they can't figure out how to win away from home, the East is going to stay, I think, Milwaukee and Florida a top 2, and then a battle between the KC, Baltimore, and Utica.
Right. A producer Phil piped in and wrote me a note that said load management. That's the expression I was trying to come up with in the NBA that they're doing. That's what the Milwaukee Wave are doing here. But yeah, interesting stats. Again, point this out. It's at the end of the day, the East is going to play within itself in the playoffs, and the West is going to play within itself in the playoffs, and they're going to meet in the final. So the East teams don't have to worry about facing the West teams, in the postseason rounds until the very end, until the championship final. Let's take a look then, Gio, because we got about 5 minutes left in the show here. Let's take a look at your power rankings. We've had a lot of fun with these over the last couple of weekends. First, it was the doctor, Mr. Reimer from Empire, giving us his, and then last weekend, Andrew Harvey. We thought the doctors were controversial. Andrew blew those out of the water. So let's see what yours are here as we take a look at Gio's power ranking. So we're going to start with 14 and 13. I don't think not much of a surprise, Gio. We got the sidekicks and the Harrisburg Heat, but Harrisburg, you know what? They got their 4th win of the weekend, unfortunately against your Blast, but good for them at least. And that's going to be that's a good shot in the arm for them, isn't it?
Yeah, I think these two teams are kind of like a package deal where they know the season hasn't gone their way, and now they're just kind of looking to figure things out to look towards next season. And it was a good win for Harrisburg. They're probably going to continue to figure things out, might get a few more wins, but I don't see too much changing for Harrisburg, and
Right.
specifically in the
Right. You got St. Louis at 12,
dollars.
Tacoma at 11, and just in front of them, the Monterey Flash, who, of course, the Stars are trying to catch for 5th spot in the West right now. Utica City at number 9. KC, the Comets at number 8, and you got your Blast at number 7. So give us a comment on that and why you had Baltimore at number 7.
Look, I honestly, if you don't have a over 500 record on the road, you shouldn't be in the higher echelons of the power ranking, right? Because
Right.
that's going to determine if you are a contender or not. Winning at home is great. You could be as scary as you want at home, but if you're not winning on the road, I can't say anything.
Yeah, no, for sure. And then we go to we've got Florida Tropics at number 6, and your top 5 is dominated mostly by Western Conference teams. Mesquite at number 5, Chihuahua at number 4, Milwaukee at number 3, and then Empire and San Diego. And you are going with Old Faithful. You've got you still got the Sockers at number 1.
Yeah, I mean, the Sockers, they had a point to prove this weekend. They were short a few key players and they went out and did it. I heard Craig Childs on the Sockers Overtime podcast, and he spoke like he wanted to lead them, and that's exactly what they did. And that's exactly what he did. And they went out there and proved the point that, hey, no matter how many players we're missing, we have a deep roster and we're going to go out there and get points.
Right on. Okay, let's move quickly to our goal of the week and then our moment of the week. And let's give us your goal first, Gio.
So my goal of the week is Hugo La Roca Puentes is a Wallace scorer. We love Wallace scorers at Goals and Boards. So the fact that this is a Wallace scorer and a header, fantastic goal. I thought that was one of my favorite goals, or it is one of my favorite goals thus far this year. So just to see it, beautiful.
It was a good one. And I'm going to take San Diego and Monterey, Ishmael Rojo. This is going to go down for me as one of the goals of the year. Absolutely scintillating strike against the Monterey Flash. Top shelf, beautiful goal by Rojo. And what's that? Yeah.
It is what we call a golazo.
A golazo. Yeah, I know. It gets overused sometimes, the term, but that was truly a golazo. And favorite moments of the week for you?
There wasn't many highs for me this weekend because Baltimore had a rough weekend, but one of those highs was Jeff Hughes making that run back to save it off the line against Utica City. That was just such a huge defensive effort and a defensive save that, hey, I'll take the small positives at this point.
We always talk about how the defensive stuff often gets overlooked for the flashy highlights. So yeah, it's a great moment. You know what? I'm gonna do mine. I'm sorry, man. I gotta say it. It's Harrisburg, the overtime goal, knocking off your Blast, unfortunately, but it's big in a couple senses. Number one, because it was a game the Blast was expected to win. But secondly, just I've had Dallas in there for my moments of the week as well this year, because you got to take the little things, you got to take the positives. And for Harrisburg, only their 4th win of the season so far. but it was a great win. They came up big against a rival. So that was my goal of the week. Sorry, Gio. But
You
not
can always see what it means to
moment
them.
of the week. What's that?
No, I was saying you can always see how much it means to them, and you saw that when they celebrated it. So
Yeah, it was a great call too. The announcer almost lost his voice on it too. I love it when the voice breaks like that. So, listen, man, that is it. Just a reminder to everyone to you can follow Geo at Goals N Boards, not N but N, the letter N Boards, for all the great MASL coverage and. To catch all MASL games live and archive, be sure to check out Twitch, where you can also find this show, MASL Monday, as well as MASL TV for all the latest MASL highlights and shows and all kinds of fun stuff. Gio, thank you so much for taking the time, man. It was great getting your perspective and hopefully better things to come for the Blast after a difficult weekend.
yes, thank you for having me on. And yes, I hope that the way to swing changes.
Excellent. Well, thanks so much for taking the time. And thank you, everyone, for listening and watching to this week's show. And we will see you again next Monday.